Yeah, unfortunately, we actually, the New York City office has the incredible privilege and being supported that we actually have an in-house genetics lab,
Right.
which is almost unheard of nationally. It's expensive. Dr. Sampson, our chief, is a cardiac as well as a forensic pathologist and has really spearheaded that ability to start. And the genetics, Dr. Tang came on board about 15 years ago and has been steadily expanding those cardiac panels. She's now looking into starting doing some epilepsy genes. So we're pretty unique in the nation to be able to do that type of testing. Of course, the more cases you test, the more variants of unknown significance you may find. So what to do with those results can be very hard, especially with a family that's not getting straightforward answers to begin with.
Right.
So we were also very fortunate. I believe a couple of years ago, we actually have an in-house genetic counselor. So we do have somebody to be able to handle some of those really complicated genetic questions, which certainly many of the medical examiners haven't even been thoroughly.
Correct.
We don't have background training in some of this stuff, and we get, again, going back to training. I never heard of sudden adulthood, I believe, until Laura Crandall came and gave us a grand rounds. And obviously, we're seeing the majority of these cases. They're really, really rare. And how to handle those cases, how to refer those parents and patients. And parents grieve differently. And the grieving process changes. So during the time you're in communication, their questions, their wants, their needs can change dramatically. I've seen deaths like this tear a family apart, literally multi-generational, just tear them apart. I have parents who won't speak to each other by the end of some of these workups, and it can be very, very difficult to try to navigate, especially when you're being asked what's the answer. And so we try our best information that's supported scientifically, and being able to obviously bring in the pediatricians, bring in child protection services can be very critical on both sides. Sometimes they can help us get information we didn't have originally. And on the other side, I've also had a family who was literally pulled into court every month until I was able to get them a final diagnosis. Unfortunately, their child did have a diagnosis. He died from parainfluenza infection.
Right.
But by the time I got that, she had been dragged into court 4 times.
Right.
And I kept saying, let me talk to them. I have a feeling this is going to be a natural death. There's no injuries. Nobody from that ever reach out to me to be able to circumvent some of that. So it can be it's not just like a linear process with help or not help. It can be very variable in every situation, which none of us have really had any training on how to navigate. And then also, just one more point on the genetics thing, there's also the ethical considerations. Yeah, you may have what you think might be a genetic answer in this child, but there's the other standpoint. If you test children who otherwise are healthy and normal, are you going to stigmatize them on something you have no treatment for? So, I mean, I think these really open up a lot of doorways that, fortunately, really been able to explore in much greater depth, and not just communication, treatment, but also some of those bigger issues that we need to consider as these testing become more and more available.